XC Dome review today. So we're gonna pop this head on. This is meant for like off-road, you know, kind of like your trail ride, off-road, hair scrambles or whatever. We're gonna pop this on, and yeah, we're gonna pop this on and see what we think about it today. So I'm gonna have to bolt it on this head. I'm gonna be taking my modified head off here real quick, putting that head on. We'll take it for a test ride. Oh, by the way, we're at Croom today. Croom in Brooksville, Florida, or Croom, Florida, whatever you want to call it. We got a good amount of rain yesterday, so the ground's pretty good, nice and damp. So anyway, let me break my tools out and put that head on, and let's take her for a ride. This is a cool place if you've never been here before, Croom, Florida, close to Brooksville, Florida. But here's the training pit, as they call it, motocross training pit. It's typically really soft sand. When it has good moisture and rain, like you can see we've been getting right now, it actually becomes decently tacky and pretty controllable. There is like 5 square miles, if I remember correctly, like wooded. Hey, there's my older brother Gary, and there you go. He shot you a bird there. But there's like 5 square miles of wooded area to ride in, and trails and stuff. A really cool place. There's my mom. She came out here. I haven't seen my older brother in 18 years, so it was a really good day. You can see my bike back there leaning up against a tree. There's my dorky ass. And then my wife's over here getting geared up. I'm going to try to navigate this drone right up in here and land it nice and smooth. Alright, let's take this head for a ride and see how she does. Alright, there's Joe. He's going to take a test ride on my YZ250 with the XC head so we can get his take on how it feels. I'm currently right now riding his bike, as you can see. I got the GoPro on. I'm on his bike, he's on mine. I'm only showing this footage is just kind of show some of the cool stuff that you run into at Croom, like this big old trench. You have these nice little berm turns in here. I mean, you can't rip it too fast because, you know, these are not one-way trails, so you never know when someone's coming your direction. But as long as you can get a little clearer sight, you can have a good time. Well, let's swap back and I'm going to do a quick run in the pit. Hey, that head does good, don't it?
Yeah, but your front end's 2 or 3 times better than mine. That was so easy to ride this. The engine's good. I can run second gear. I mean, with no problem. You know, worried about power or anything.
Yep.
Or it's slowing down, speeding up. But man, sometimes I want to slide out on mine, and this one just follows the trail.
Might be my tire.
Well.
Alright, I'm back on my bike now with the XC head. Looks right here in the pit. They might look pretty lame and mellow in this video, but trust me, these things are pretty gnarly. This whole pit's really gnarly. The camera doesn't do it justice. Some of the roughest riding that you'll find in Florida. I remember there was a video Dean Wilson out here said that this was the toughest track in Florida. There was a video of them training out here one day for the Nationals. That's what he said, it was the toughest track in Florida, even though it's technically not a track. But you come out here and just put a course together and you have a good time. Ricky Carmichael, I've heard he used to train out here as a kid on an 80, and I sometimes think when you see him out doors how fast he was. I think he honed a lot of these skills right here in this pit. I've spent a lot of hours in this pit. I've had a lot of dirt out here. But I came out in the pit with the XE head just to kind of get an idea of the overall power that this head produce, you know, when you're really like digging in and trying to get every last little horsepower in. Because now, as you can see, I'm back on the trails, and you can't really always use all the power in the trails. You're more stuck finessing the throttle and kind of controlling things. But that's what this head does good. It doesn't have a really sharp hit. It's just an instant response, but not overly sharp. Good torque off the bottom, and it revs up smooth with no sharp hit. It just keeps climbing almost 4-stroke-ish like, and it revs a really good top end pull. Just nice and smooth and long. I get on this trail right here, you can see the quads have kind of doubled this trail up a lot.
on the trail. This is like just kind of ride around, showing you. I'm off the main trails here, just kind of wandering around through the woods, looking for a trail to jump on. Here we go. Like in the woods, the bike feels every bit as quick as my fully modified head, because you really can't use all the power, but it comes on so smooth that you really get good control and traction. It is definitely a good head for this type of riding. Obviously, if I was just on a motocross track, I would prefer my customized head that I have a little more peak power and hit and burst. But when you're in the woods, you can't really use all that. It's just, oh, there's my twin brother, Keith.
Red button first. Red button first. How do you get neutral? Go down, down, down. Okay. I need to get my helmet on. The guy's right there. But you got here.
That's good there.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
All right, so Joe took the Apex head with the XC dome out for a ride, and what do you think about it?
It was really good and smooth. I rode through the trails and had no trouble finding the right gear. Second gear took me most everywhere I wanted to go. Was no trouble. I really liked it.
How was the response?
Like I said, anytime I wanted throttle, it was there for me.
Did it rev out good, or was it flat, or?
Well, it's hard to say because I was in the woods trails.
Okay.
All small trails, and I never did go that fast.
What do you think about the overall power?
It was real good. I always had the power I needed.
Sweet. Well, appreciate you helping me out with this review, Joe.
Okay, I had fun riding it.
See ya.
Okay.
All right, we're back in the shop. Unfortunately, my SD chip errored on me. I lost a lot of good clips that I was recording for this XC head dome review right here. So I'm kind of missing a lot of the stuff. I did like a verbal review after I test rode it out there at Croom and told you my take on it. I was able to retain old man Joe's take on it, but I lost a lot of good footage out there, unfortunately. So I've already sent the head back to Kelly, so there's not really much I can do except just tell you what I think right here in the shop. So here we are. My take on the head was, I actually liked it. It's crazy. I wasn't too big of a fan of the MX head. Their MX head, I thought it, if you watch the Apex MX head review that I put on YouTube, I'll have a link down below in the description on that one. It's a good head, and it's better than the 2011 to 2022 American head. The one they sell here in America, and the European head from 2003 to 2022. It's better than that, but it wasn't. It's not like the modified head when you can get the squish band clearance closer to 40 thousandths and get the compression ratio up a little bit. Obviously, you need to run a little bit of race fuel at that point. I cover all that on the Apex MX head review. But let's get back to this head. This was surprisingly good for what it was. It's not really a racing head. You would think that it has to make a ton of power to be a racing head or whatever, and that really wasn't the case. With this head, you put it on and you kind of just forget about it. Like, the bike has good response, but it doesn't respond overly sharp. So like when you're in the woods and you're making corners and stuff, when you go to make a corner, you go to give the bike some throttle, the front end doesn't jump up. It just stays in its groove. It's sharp, but not overly sharp. So it's just whoop, and it's torquey. It has all the torque. It just kind of smoothens out some of that extreme sharpness that the YZ250 can have. Sorry, I got my YZ450 for you guys to look at here. My YZ250 is in my other shop over there right now. I rode this one this weekend, this 2015. So I got this one front and center, but we'll be looking at that one as I talk here. So, of course, I got the YZ125 right here behind her. But anyway, just really good torque, comes on really low. And we'll talk about the compression ratio and the squish band clearance on the XC head in just a second here. But it does have a lower compression ratio than even the MX Dome. It comes in at 23 cc's, I think is what I measured it at. But that lower compression ratio frees up the top end revs. So it doesn't have a spike, so it kind of comes on torquey and smooth in the bottom. In the middle, it just keeps building, and then as it gets to the top, it just smoothly keeps revving, just nice and smooth. It never spikes, it never all of a sudden just kicks into a strong hit and peels out. It just climbs, and it climbs very smooth. It feels very quality, and it fits the bike very well in the woods. If you watch the review, this video early on, I was doing a test run with the Apex head, and you really can't tell just by watching the video, but I did take it out into the pit at Croom, where you can really get full throttle and feel the total horsepower of the bike, and it still has good horsepower. Yeah, it's not quite as fast or as powerful as my modified head or even the MX Dome head. It might be a horsepower short of the MX Dome head, maybe 2 horsepower short, something like that, but you don't really feel it because it comes on torquey, and it keeps good traction, and then it revs out just long and smooth. So it just feels very broad and very controllable. I think it's a real good head. It has a good quality feel to the power, and so I think it's like a really good head for someone that really just needs that 4-stroke type pull in the woods to be able to control their bike. It's a long race in the woods. Maybe you're doing a GNCC or a hare scramble or FTR, and it's a long race. You don't want to tire yourself out, but you want to have a good long pulling motor, one that you can kind of stick it in any gear and it just does it, and it's not going to rip your arms off at the same time. However, it's not going to be slow either. That the XC head does it. So I give this one a pretty good review, and it surprised me because we'll get to the specs now. Looking at the specs, I did not think it was going to do that good. I've lost all my material, so I'm using my own YouTube video here to show you pictures because I had to mail this head back to the guy. But let me go ahead and slide this video over to the spec part, and we'll talk about that. Alright, I found the part of the video from the Apex MX Dome head review where I wrote down the specs of all these different heads right here. I did not write down the specs for the XC head, but I'll tell you them as we go along here. Actually, let me just write it down real quick so we have a comparison on paper. Let me do that. Alright, here we go. So we have the Apex MX Dome. Let's quick recap. The 5MW head right here, that was the European head from 2003 to 2022. The American model from 2003 to 2011 had the 5UP head. The only difference really with these heads is the squish band clearance is fatter on this one at 84 thousandths, and the compression ratio is lower. So this one, I covered it in the MX head review video. This is more of just to run on pump gas. This one is actually has pretty decent performance, the 5UP head, but it does like a splash of race fuel, at least 40% race fuel, the 50-60% pump. That usually gets it done. And then the Apex MX Dome that we reviewed, that has the squish band clearance of 50 thousandths. As they say, you want at least 50 thousandths if you're going to do a squish band modification, because you really don't start getting the benefits of tightening the squish band until you get at least 50 thousandths. And as I covered in the Apex MX head dome review, I consider that like a stage 1. If you're looking at like car camshafts, you get stage 1, 2, and 3. That's like a stage 1 at level performance. But it had a slightly lower compression ratio at 2275 versus even the European head or the American head from the 5MW head from 2011 in America to 2022. It had even a slightly lower compression ratio of that. So they were clearly trying to get this one to run on pump feel. But at the same time perform better than this head, although I don't really know if it's almost equal performance with that, just differently. This one's more torquier, the 5UP head, and of course my modified head here, it pretty much beats all of these. But this is a head that you have to run at least 50-50 race and pump at 40,000 squish band clearance, and a 21.9 cc for the compression ratio, which pushes it at the same combustion chamber size as the 5UP head. So yeah, but the Apex XC head here, it has a 50 thousandths clearance, just like the Apex MX Dome. That's kind of the clearance they stick at, unless you email them or call them and ask for something custom. That's what you're going to get. It's a 50 thousandths no matter what head you buy from. But it has a 23 cc combustion chamber, where the MX Dome has a 22.75, so that's going to be a higher compression ratio. and the 5MW has a 2250. It's going to be even a higher compression ratio, and the 5UP has a 2190, which is the highest of the compression ratios of all these heads we have here. And my custom head here has the same as this one right here, which is 21.9. So the XE has the lowest compression ratio of all, and as I covered in the MX head review, the lower compression ratio does free up the top end, and so that, I think that's where the long pull and top end kind of came from on this head. And then I also believe the lower compression ratio is what it kind of smoothened out the bottom end, and so that it still made great torque, because I'm almost under the impression you can't really get rid of the torque on a YZ250 no matter what you do. It just oozes torque, and there's just really not much you can do. You can soften the head on it, you can smoothen it out, but you give it throttle and it's gonna whoop. It's just what that motor does. It just wants to do that. And so this head really takes advantage of that, and it smoothens it out, but yet it still retains all that torque, but just smoothens it out so that, you know, it helps you keep that front wheel on the ground when you're trying to get through them tight corners in the woods, and you really need to keep good control of the bike, because if you veer off just even 6 inches, I mean, there's a tree there and a tree there, and you're just trying to avoid the trees and stuff and stay in your lines. This head's really good for that. And then it has a long pull, so you know, between corners, between one corner and the next, you might not have to shift. You can just kind of rev her out. She comes off, torque you off the bottom. You start on the bottom, come out of the corner, and just roll into the throttle and just take it all the way through its rev range, all the way to the next corner. It's a good head for that. I was really impressed with this head. It has a good quality feel to it, where this one kind of seemed like they were just trying to give you maybe a little more horsepower than this one, but at the same time make it totally pump feel friendly. Because of that, even though there were some gains in this one, the top end, if you watch that review, there are some gains to it over the 5M head. It's kind of a gimmicky trade-off a little bit. I'm not trying to talk trash about it. I mean, it is a good head, and if you need more top end and you don't want to do a custom head, and you know, you're tired of using this head right here, this totally pump friendly head here, but you want another pump gas friendly head, you just want more top end, this one will do it. It does that. But this one felt more quality. It felt just like the Target. Not that it's better than this head in its environment. This is going to be a better head on the track. But this head in the woods, it has a really good quality feel for it. And if I was a dedicated woods rider, I totally wouldn't have a problem using this head. It's a really good head. I did like the XC Dome, and that one surprised me. You know, just looking at the specs, I just thought it was going to be weak across the board. But I don't know if it's just a head or just the motor. The YZ250 motor is a funny one. It just kind of oozes torque, and that's what it does. And this head just kind of worked right with it and just did a good job. So I appreciate you guys watching this. Sorry I've been a little bit slow on getting videos uploaded in the past 2 or 3 weeks. I caught a really bad sinus infection and kind of just had me only focusing on work. I had one nostril, wouldn't even freaking breathe. And of course so yeah, I have a video coming up this week. I got a YZ450. I'll be doing a 2021 YZ450, a complete rebuild on that one. His oil drain plug fell out and kind of trashed the piston, and even though the lower rod bearing is still good on it, anytime they run dry in oil like that, you know, you just want to change out the crank too. So I'll have that video coming up this week, and a few others coming up here shortly. I appreciate you guys sticking with me through this, and sorry for not posting stuff for the past few weeks, but I'll get back to it. I appreciate you guys watching. If you like this video, click like, and if you're not subscribed and you're interested in this kind of stuff, I just geek out on motocross stuff. That's what I do. So click subscribe, and hopefully I give you some interesting stuff to watch. Catch you guys later.